Okay, the 4.5x raise. Yeah, I do believe we had discussed guys opening for pot and how it tends to be ridiculously strong. Yeah, and you said you knew who those guys were.
Yeah, none of these guys are really ones I recognize except for this guy I'm pointing to,
Okay.
who has extremely light three bet
All
call
right.
range. And
Okay. What we're gonna do is those are the kind of notes you want to take. So
yep.
fold and pull up the notes and write 45x HJ. I leave out the period, make it easier to know. So 4.5x. All right.
Oh,
And then just give it a tag for something that you're not using because he's not a fish. He's not this whatever.
I like
But
that.
those are, let's just say that those are the guys you got to watch. And now when they okay, so he did it again, yeah, and that's exactly why you did that because you know to watch out for him. And one of these times, what you want to see him flip over one of these hands, so you really want to pay
Yeah.
attention. But that's one like if he flips over Jack 10, don't assume that you've got fold equity and you can jam on him. You know.
Mhm.
Yeah, like you can do that for yourself, but that's not necessary. You know, it's more or less describing a type of player that doesn't really have its own category because you can't call him a fish. He's definitely not a shark, definitely not a pro, but he's doing something out of the ordinary, and it's significant specifically because he had to type that in.
So if I see guys calling those raises just cold calling like these players, like I've done that a few times just because I know they'll call.
You done what?
I've like raised pot pre-flop like $9 or $10 just because I know they'll call and I don't really care what the other regs do.
Oh, good. Yeah, well that's exactly why you've got a much better shot at this than average guys who, if they don't do it on card runners, you know, especially guys who they want to three bet like 5-4 suited as part of their balanced range. It's like, okay, well maybe that makes it balance in GTO, but it's irrelevant if nobody ever sees that hand. You know, it has to go to showdown, and the guy has to be paying attention, and he has to take a note, and he has to know it was you, and it's a parlay of events that is just too hard to predict.
Yeah.
Yeah, if with your stack and the ace jack suited, if one other guy had called, I would call. But obviously, there's a much bigger difference when a guy. Sorry, when a guy makes that as an isolation raise versus an open raise. And of course, like if a guy. Okay. 3-bet under the gun raise with king jack suited from cutoff. Okay, yeah, that's fine. But what we're gonna have to do is develop your own shorthand. And there, I don't. It is relevant that he did it versus the early position guy, but more relevant is the fact that he did it at all.
Yeah.
Now, granted, that might be standard in some card runners' videos, but that's not standard behavior. What's more important, well, it doesn't matter now. The guy who limped and cold called with Jack 10, but he's gone. He's probably never coming back. He just blew his dad's bankroll on one hand.
Yeah.
Okay, since we just got two tables, we can leave it with two color deck. Okay. Well, let's see. Yeah, just go 2.5x. Because the whole purpose of min raising is to give you maneuverability and keep the stack to pot ratio as high as possible for your weaker hands.
What do you do 7-6 in the button right here?
Just fold it.
Okay. That is not what I'm used to doing. But yeah, I'm
But yeah,
totally get it.
yeah. Just another good way to look at it is, okay. When I say pro poker, I'm gonna lump in serious amateur, which is where you want to be.
Yeah.
It's all about making the easy money. You know, if you have a specific reason to do it, you know, you don't ever want to do something because you always do it. Especially because here, well, actually, under the circumstances, you know, 2 tables, this is where I got to break my own conditioning and think, yeah, we should have just went ahead and did it. There, go ahead and call that.
Call?
Okay. And see where I just like to fold it, because your hand, it's not improving.
Yeah.
Like you always want to look ahead several streets. I mean, if you want to call, it's go ahead, it's your money, but think about what happens if the 6 hits. If you make 2 pair, what happens?
The money will go in.
Well, I mean, well, several things do happen. Is that okay? Here, donk for the min. Donk for the minimum. What happens is it puts a straight out there. And you might as well take one more shot at it. No, I just half pot's fine.
What would you do?
Just bet. I wouldn't fire 3 barrels. Although actually, okay, well, just check it. Check fold. Like 9-10 would have had the nut straight there. So when you really think about what happens when your hand improves and how it's going to look, and then what hands could potentially give you action there, the whole thing is just generally not worth it. Okay, so let's see. I take it to 8.
Okay.
And shoving is acceptable here because guys will make those calls.
This Rajiv guy likes to 3-bet kind of light at me on the button, so I'm good with. There we go.
wait, just stop for 1 second. Stop.
Yeah.
All right, now, yeah, get it in. Notice what he did. He bet to 37.
Yeah.
I call that the challenge bet. Notice it has something. I mean, now I can't figure out the mathematics of pot size betting, but typically when a guy does that for your entire stack, he's saying something very specific. And it's pretty much done like a dare, and they always have it. Then like guys don't 3-bet light when they put you in for precisely your stack.
Gotcha.
Have you noticed that yourself?
Well, I've noticed it in other guys. It's kind of hard because I have to separate myself. Because sometimes I'll do that just to be
You're
an
in
asshole.
a hand here. Oh.
Regardless.
Donk for the minimum. See, now part of why I also do that is that it's just not worth it to call. Like check calling there is dumb.
Yeah.
All right, get back in the hand. All right,
But
fold. Because the implied odds there are absolutely atrocious. And so the thought being that the only bet that would be worth calling is the minimum. Why not check, like, why check call when you can just do that yourself and with the added chance of getting the fold?
Mhm.
So that's something that pays off over time.
I feel like these players, in general, these guys are much more likely to fold with to like a half pot bet, and more often just like to call anything with a min. And if I check the next card, they'll bet at it and get
It
me
could
off the
be,
hand.
it could be that's your experience, but you know what I've been doing that's working really well is once I double my stack and it falls to me in the small blind and I raise. If you miss, just bet the minimum and they'll dump it.
Mm.
Just do that on any random old flop.
And so thinking back to that 7-6 hand, so why call pre-flop if we always expect a continuation bet and we're not willing to continue with second or bottom pair, which is what we're usually going to have there.
Well, because you've been playing here longer than me. I don't know that they're always going to continuation bet. Has that been your experience?
80% of the time they do,
Okay.
roughly.
All right. So in that situation, you can just overrule anything I say. Well, that's how it is the entire time. But somebody using a chainsaw at your place?
Yeah, my dad's doing yard work. There's that window. Interesting when you're not at your own place.
I wonder just how much more money they make than other sites by giving you just like so little time to act.
Yeah, it's well they now they do the auto time bank at least.
They do?
Yes.
How long have they been doing that?
I don't know. I played last week and it was there and it saved my ass. The first
Because
time
I'm
I saw
always
it.
sitting out. All right, here you jam on that.
Yeah, that's what I typically do, so that's good.
But that's only versus the cutoff. Now,
Yeah.
if you're suited, then you can do it against earlier positions. Okay, that guy's a regular, so take a note.
Mm.
And that's where I do 3x CS, just one word. So that's 3x call shove,
So,
uh, KQ cutoff versus 20 button, 20 BB. Any way you want to do it.
okay. I don't know.
So that's not like hugely relevant, but that's the kind of thing. Like when we were discussing on chat, two big blinds.
Oh, two. Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Now do two big blinds. Now you're gonna get raised here a lot. Oh shit.
Oh.
All right. All right. Ship it.
Yeah.
And now I wouldn't normally do that, but the read there is pretty solid, I'd say.
He has a 6. Fucker. No.
Hey everybody who's watching, it's rigged.
As long as it's rigged in my direction, that's cool.
It's weird. Nobody ever says that. It's always rigged for the other guy. Oh wait, maybe that means you're the fish.
If it means I'm gonna win every flip, I'll be a fish
Why did a
all day
thing
and night.
why did the thing pop up and say victory lap? Is that what happens every time you suck out? You get a thing that says victory lap?
Victory lap. Where's that?
This you had a pop up thing. It said victory lap.
I didn't even notice.
Okay, now I'm kind of freaked out. Maybe they shouldn't have been my computer. I don't
Yeah, I
think.
didn't see anything that said that.
Well, you'll see it on the recording. Either that or I really am nuts. Oh yeah, so yeah, sit out when it comes around. Oh wait, no, you only have.
I have
I'm
30
so bad.
here.
I'm so bad at math. Yeah, it's
35.
four handed though. I think that Teddy KGB guy's a reg.
He's a decent one.
Okay, all right. We're time for the mega raise.
Oh, that's a shove
Okay.
now.
Yeah, just ship it. 2.5x. I like to get a little bit more fold equity with small pocket pairs.
Gotcha.
Huh. All right. Two big blinds when he checks.
Okay.
You can just click once on the slider to set it to that.
Oh,
Okay. Now just check it down.
yeah.
Alternatively, you can bet two big. Well, no, bet two big blinds again. Now I was gonna say before that. Okay, well that changed nothing. You got a chance. Now just check it and
Yeah.
see if we look stupid or genius. 9-8. Okay, his play was very standard. But yeah, that was one thing I used to like to do at Poker Stars, the cap games, was things that had any showdown at all. I would go min bet. That the pot was a little bit larger, it probably would have had the exact same effect.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, here you can't test these things over time, but it will work.
I guess that's a decent alternative because I find if I see bet on the turn when I'm carrying 20 big blinds, I'm fully committed.
Well, what you'll often find is that guys like once the bet size is within a certain range, say between 40 and 60% of the pot, they're bet size insensitive. Now, so for instance, with that deuces hand, if you had bet the minimum, he might call with a whole lot of trash, right?
Yeah.
Like string, you could potentially even like squeeze some value out with nothing, or he might call with that anyway. You don't really know, but it gets you to showdown. Whereas if you start betting between that 40 and 60% range of the pot, then he's going to do exactly what he would do anyway. It's not like, they don't think the way we do, in that like, oh, he bet one extra big blind there, I'm gonna fold instead of trail along.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, you can complete with that. And now I like to take more shots at guys who limp from the cutoff, because open limping from the cutoff is the most indefensible play there is.
Yeah.
Quiet Lion, I believe that is an old Full Tilt Pro. Yeah, just min raise. Okay. Call, and now here you get out on the flops a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the dummies tend to do that raise with
Yeah,
complete
right. All
dog
right,
shit.
all right, all right. Call here, and if there's pressure on the turn, you're gonna fold because you do not want to be stuck with your pants down on the river. Okay. Um, all right. Here's what we're gonna do. Bet seven. That's his bet. It's a kind of a little psychological ploy that take way too long to explain. In essence, it is a free showdown play,
Yeah, I
and
got
if
you.
he because that's what you would have paid on the river. Okay. So you don't we don't care that he did that. You bet like one quarter of the pot, so just fold. All right, now, and since we're only playing two tables, you're gonna take a note on that. Just put min three bet. A lot of guys like to call, like, let's suppose you raise it to four and they re raise it to eight. They want to call that the min three bet. No, that was a min three bet because it is
Yeah.
the absolute minimum. That was something that would just drive me nuts when trying to explain, oh, he min three bet. It's like, did he min three bet or did he raise it back two big blinds? So just give him like a fishy tag, min three bet.
It won't let me until the next hand
Oh,
starts.
yeah, one of the peculiarities of this site.
More interesting.
Ideally, you'll see a table full of limper. Okay, all right. Okay. Oh, if he made a min raise, I was gonna min raise him back because there's a decent chance that he was just fucking with you.
Oh, they do
And
that a lot.
huh?
They do that a lot.
Yeah, and so if that's his gig, uh, well, yeah, you gotta change. Wait, no, wait, shit.
Oh,
All right,
what about here? I'm more worried about this one.
make just go six.
Okay.
I was about to say whatever your experience tells you the most, they'll call on average.
I do a third and go here usually. Well, I bet the third the stack. You call it something else. What do you call it? Mega race, I think.
That's what it is called. The third and go. Oh, we were gonna open raise that there. You're actually, yeah, dialing it back. I would have just flatted with the nines and more or less kind of set mine because that's a suspicious ISO followed by a guy limping under the gun in a full ring table. You don't want to get called there with the nines. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that the guy who's min ISOing is that he has jack shit, you know? And so
Yeah.
so we pick up his four. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going to happen. And the danger being that the guy under the gun, I wouldn't done it. Not with that stack size because you've lost a lot of maneuverability.
Okay.
Not a critical error with ace king, but if you did that with like king queen, oh, and there's king queen. What's your note on win CJW? Okay. All right. So that's his habit. All right, just
Yeah.
click it back. No.
Well, all right.
Make it 14, damn it. 14. You hovered over that all in button a lot
I
about
like
how to
it.
coordinate. All right, here we go and ship it.
Yeah.
That is a version of the. I mean, he's gonna call there. Yeah. Okay.
Good luck.
That's awesome because we won the pot and we got to see the horse shit he's doing it with. But I'm a chicken shit, so yeah. So just 4x ace three, and that you don't need to take any more notes on him. Okay, and if you see him do it with three deuce, then you can do like a playback with the mega, like say Jack 10 suited, you know.
Yeah.
All right, and hopefully I don't need to explain that just because the guy sucks doesn't mean you can steal versus with 4-3 against him.
Oh, because he's probably gonna call for a raise.
Exactly, but you wouldn't believe how many people don't seem to make that connection, and I mean like good players.
That's dumb.
Yeah, there's a reason why I like to be the only poker guy in my group of friends, simply because I'd want to kill anyone else.
Yeah.
Because I just can't handle that shit on a daily basis. Maybe I should start charging people for if they want to rant about a game being rigged or this, that, whatever dumb strategy. I'll, I'll just I'll just say, give me $10 and I'll sit here and listen.
Your sanity's not important to you.
Well, I mean, if I'm just sitting there and not participating, I could be thinking about eating an ice cream cone or something.
You can call it a confession.
But the poker confessional, the Wizard of Oz, he did actually have this thing where if you sent him $1, you could email him your bad beat story.
That's funny.
I think that made a pretty strong point because he didn't say he would respond.
Yeah.
Oh, this could be fun.
You have truly been sucking the dick of the luck god.
Is he talking to you?
No, this is a new table.
I mean, he just as well could be talking to you. You've been sucking the dick of the luck god pretty good.
And I'd do it more.
You sucked out against that ace-3 and the aces.
Not this guy though.
Yeah. All right. Now this is just a general ship, unless it's a 3-bet. Okay. Now you dump it. Oh, but what if he's 3-betting with the top 23% of hands? Then you'll make $1 in EV. That's the kind of shit I should charge people to blather on about.
I don't do that. It's child's play.
That's what I'm like. You're making this game into more than what it really is.
Yeah.
It's like just because a guy is stealing doesn't mean he's doing it with 100% of his hands. And then the guy 3-betting definitely is not doing it with 100% of his hands. Actually, I'm curious to see what the equity of ace-jack suited versus 2 random hands is.
Okay, so this is a situation. Do I just shove here against the guy with 12 big blinds, two limps?
Wait, hold on. Well, how many guys behind him? Him?
Just him. Yeah.
Put in $9.
Okay, so you just commit in so I can shove the turn?
Because I still think he's mostly calling with better hands, but with us being the only genuine short. Okay, well now you gotta call it.
Yeah. It's okay.
All right. Hey,
Fuck me.
you're sucking the dick of the luck god.
Yeah, I want to type that.
Oh, he taught you a lesson there. Them quads. I haven't decided which tag I'm gonna be. I'm just gonna have one meaning just like general shittiness. Because in the average guy's mind, his play wasn't as bad as it really is. Because most hands are losing to deuces, you know?
Yep.
Unlike a guy doing that with ace-3 offsuit, for instance.
But the problem is if I have threes or better, he's destroyed.
Guys who do that with like Jack 10 offsuit, that's a certain breed of terrible. Or rather, sorry, um, getting ahead of myself. It's very telling of somebody who doesn't really give a shit. But the difference between that and a guy who sucks is not much.
Keep sucking that dick.
Who's he talking to?
I don't know. I gotta keep that open. It's fun.
You remember poker table ratings, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. One of the memorable ones was I raised aces against one guy, and he flopped. He had some like 8-7. He flopped a 7, and he check called, and then another 7 came on the turn. Then he donked out, and I called, and then an ace hit on the river, so I got aces full, and he bets. I shove and he calls and he goes on this huge rant about how lucky I am. Lucky that my aces held up against his 8-7 and he was only ahead for one street. But what was awesome was then later on that day, I go on to poker table ratings and he's talking about how awful I am because of that one hand and like what a fish I was. I'm like, so I just wrote back, yeah, I remember that hand. That was awesome.
Ha 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 ha.
I'm like, that guy's got some self-esteem issues.
Yeah.
Phil Howes.
That's the 2-2 fucker.
Yeah. Well, he held some back, which is actually depends. Keep sucking that dick? Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
No worries here. No worries here. It's my lucky day. I had my unlucky day last Friday, so I'm good today.
That's it. We'll have a tag, and it'll just say SDLG. So sucking the dick of the luck god.
So, people I played with at 1-2, some of them are now at 10-20, and a lot of these people are not that great. It's very interesting that there's a jump from 3-6 to 10-20. I'm saying that it's a reasonable goal.
What do you say? A reasonable goal?
To get to that 10-20 games, if it's mediocre players able to rag up there.
Oh, yeah. Well, I didn't even need to look. I can tell that they're not. That they can't be that great. But it's also... No.
Okay.
But it's also because how good they are means nothing to us. And also, like, the best way... heads-up displays, they make the most sense when you use them against mathematical players like S&G players and short stackers. And since they don't have that ability, there's going to be a lot more of those standout hands that warp their perceptions because all they're going to have is their notes.
Yeah.
You know? And so they're not going to like when you ship aces on them. But if they're guys, that we mark as having fold equity, whatever, they're going to remember that time that you shoved 9-8 suited on them and sucked out. And that's all they're going to have for their information. And that's assuming they even take notes. Because most guys don't. Most pros don't. Even though it is the most important thing you can do. Like seeing that one guy opening for 4x with ace 3 and having that note that he does that is unimaginably helpful. There's no heads-up display stats that could possibly have that much value. Because that guy, he pretty much told us his life story.
Yeah. This guy raises everything. So how often have you been playing? How's it been for you?
It's been really good. I'm just waiting for money from my Turkish cash out, which is taken now. It's July. It's like 3 months.
Is it coming?
Well, yeah. Well, it turns out it was shipped on July 3rd, but it went to the wrong email address, and so my friend needs to sort it out with NetTeller
Mm.
before he ships it to me with Bitcoin. And so that's like my role. And so
What do you do here? Open?
sh- check fold.
Mm.
The fact of the matter is, it's really hard to tell. Okay, well, actually now call that, and part of the reason why is because you have an effective kicker, not a good one, but an effective one, because it's three parts to a straight. Now just check, and I wouldn't call anything more than a min, because it's all about looking for that river card, and you have no information on him whatsoever. I think too many guys like just checking and typically folding there is one of the best things you can do for your game and your psychological health. I mean, too many potential pros that have just flushed their careers away out of sheer curiosity.
That makes sense. Yeah. If you don't have a reason why you're doing something, why the fuck are you doing it, right?
Yeah, or the default reason defaults to pot odds. They'll say, let's see if there was what there. It's like I'm getting 3-1. It's like, okay, you're getting 3-1 to see the next card. What are you gonna do then? And then if the answer is I'll wait and see what happens, then that means you have no plan.
Yeah.
Because seeing what happened means that you have zero read on a guy. And in those situations, you always have zero read, and he limps under the gun. And, unless you have him marked as a bad player, where the notes come into play. But not even just, but that's not even like a shoe-in for a bad player. They would need to be very bad. Because, for instance, when you check there, and he bets the minimum, and he's a really bad player. Suppose you wanted to come after him, and you had some kind of murky plan. Then now all of a sudden you got to decide: well, should I let him piss away the money, or should I raise? Well, if the answer is raise, what's he gonna call with? Is he exactly the kind of bad player that's just that's going to go with anything? It's like you have to assume he has some kind of a pair.
Yeah.
And so also, yeah, there are so many different dimensions of these things that guys don't see, and it doesn't bother me anymore. I'll tell people, it's like, yeah, I'm a nit. But anyone looking to criticize that, but they don't juggle the same number of variables that I do, and they don't look ahead to more streets, or they look at the math that doesn't matter. The math that does matter, in my opinion, is mostly just estimations. Like, I rarely ever look at the pot and think, oh, I'm getting 4-1 or whatever. I just run through the read, because if you called every time that you were getting 4-1, you're losing your ass. Because guys just don't bluff that often. Wait, hold on. This should be, I like to round it up to 16 BB. And yeah, you can ship it.
Oh.
Yeah, so just end that shit. I mean, it'd be profitable to open min raise, but if you can ship it here, then why not?
I keep thinking I have 30 big blinds.
Well, it took me a second. Do you normally play 50-cent dollar?
No, I've always been 1-2 here, just because it's so promising.
Oh, but by the way, I followed your advice, and I stuck with it, and the next day I did quite well. So I've actually cashed out a couple times. But yeah, going back to what we were saying earlier, is like, I need to build a bankroll up from nothing because my Turkish cash out is held up,
Yeah.
and because I've been putting a lot of work into that other stuff and made some really good progress.
Yeah, that's good.
Wait. Oh, sorry. No, that was right.
Oh, okay. Should I go back to 40 so this is less boring?
Well, it makes for a more effective coaching session because, again, anyone who's looking will know that the system is strong enough that you can do pretty much all push fold at 20 big blinds.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, so all the coaching definitely. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, by the way.
So have you tried the thing where you double up starting with 20 and then you play through even with 30 big blinds and you notice you get the same action as when you had 10 big blinds?
I have not been doing that here mostly because my mind's been elsewhere,
Okay.
making a
But it
website,
fucking
then I'll play
works.
it like, anywhere from 3 to 4 tables while I'm doing other stuff. And I'm actually quite surprised with how much I've gotten done while still playing at the same time.
Well, they do not really adjust, so more money there.
But yeah, for the most part, I've even been playing a lot of push fold with like 20 BB. Just because, well, like I don't want to tinker with that 6-6 hand. So if it says,
Yeah.
for instance,
Complete here?
on the cutoff,
Oh,
holy
no,
crap,
no.
between, all right, wait, let me think. Win CJW, is he
He's a donk.
he's a donk?
Yeah.
How bad?
Bad. Really bad.
Oh wait, Rajiv, okay, yeah, go ahead and complete.
And Rajiv is a bad reg.
Although I'm actually starting to lean away from completing with those type of aces there because I don't like checking and calling with those. Those are even worse than check calling with like the Jack 7.
Yeah.
And they have no meaningful way to improve. So yeah, well, once we get those ranges for shoving versus limpers.
Yeah, I've just been kind of basing it on what I think about the player and what they do. Regs don't usually like limp aces in middle position or later position, stuff like that. Just are they limping every fucking hand, or is it
Well,
once?
well, the problem is that they're limping a lot of ace 9 hands and ace 10 hands.
Yeah,
And also, the lower your kicker, the less likely it is that it's going to play versus lesser kickers and split the pot.
so in that hand, I probably would have shoved it like ace 10, knowing Rajiv would have raised if he had something decent, and win CJW just like playing every hand.
Well, before doing the analysis, my play would be I would shove ace 10 and shove down to ace 8 suited.
Ace 8 suited?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ace 7 suited. Now, if they had limped, if the open limper was on the cutoff, now I'm shoving more.
Yeah. This might be a shove. Nope. Never mind.
A good question. What was that, 17, 18 big blinds?
Well, he raised, so. This guy used to be a pro, at least the same name, at full tilt.
That name, Quiet Lion. Richard Brody. He's a writer, too. And he was American, so, well, I think he used to play like bigger stakes than that. He was the only person who earned his Red Pro deal by sort of being a good poker citizen. He was well regarded on the forums.
Yeah. So there's a player called Quiet Lion posting a lot in global in 2+2, so it might be that guy.
Very well could be. I'm just wondering why he. But or then again, who know? Well, I wouldn't know if he played one too. I have no idea. I'm very curious now.
Mm. You eating Cheez-Its?
Uh, I wish.
Sounds like
Oyster
Cheez-Its.
crackers.
Uh,
I'm starving, man.
as long as you don't smack your lips, that's all right.
No, I learned to chew with my mouth closed. I think I might be a lip smacker anyway. I don't know.
Cool.
My ex was highly critical of everything I did.
Oh, that's good for mental health in general.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. She was a peach.
Yeah, and this guy signs QL on every post as if you don't know who he is. Quiet lines. You can't see the screen name.
Wait, what are you saying this on?
Oh, I'm looking at. I want to know if this is the same guy too. Quiet Lion on 2+2.
Is he still posting?
Yes, he's posting in the global forums, and he has a page called liontales.com.
Oh, cool. Maybe there's a networking opportunity there.
So yeah, this might be the guy.
It must be. What does he have? Like several thousand posts on 2+2?
No, only 65.
Oh, well, we'll find out. Now I'm just curious.
But he's been a member since 2004.
Oh, okay. Maybe he had the old ones wiped, or maybe he was. I don't know. Now I'm just going by what I read like way back when. I never spent much time on 2+2 forums. I probably should have. That's right. That's what we need to do now.
I just read on the toilet basically what the gossip is or who's bitching at who or what updates are on global.
I'll go ahead and stop the video.
So does the audio doesn't go on these videos too, does it? Or
No, it does.
oh, it does. Okay,
We didn't say your name.
I have to be
You
censored.
sound like some random nerd. You're fine.
No, I'm just it's not PG. That's all.
Oh, well, we gotta make it fun for the people too. Wait till you see the shit that comes out of my mouth when I play by myself.
I don't think I want to know. Hopefully, you're not Dusty Schmidt throwing your keyboards all over the
Dusty
room.
Schmidt. That Schmidt head.
I like
He's
this book.
he's a great player. Don't get me wrong, Dusty, in case you're listening. You're a great player, but you're a fucking douchebag.
Damn, what did he do to you?
It's what he did to everybody. It was when the most memorable thing, I always liked him until he went on these long rants when he was making like, when he went from making 90,000 a month to a 3 month period where he was really getting his ass kicked, man. And he was complaining about it, and everyone's like, shut up, you're a millionaire, all this stuff. You want to know how bad he was getting his ass kicked?
Huh.
He was only making 30 grand a month.
That's such a bad run.
I know. And he's complaining this to people on the Card Runners blog. And then he even had the nerve to say, I just keep wondering if it's rigged because I'm so far under EV. And all this stuff. And it's like, how do you know it wasn't rigged before? And now it's just leveling out. That's just one thing. I wouldn't say that, but it's just, I can't imagine complaining to members of my family if I ever were that good, where I'm, making $1 million a year, and then all of a sudden I go on this run where I'm only making 30,000 a month.
Yeah. Jesus.
It's just really insensitive when you got all these microstakes guys looking up to you, and it's like, okay, you're a whiny little shit.
Yeah.
So he didn't do anything to me personally. Although on the other hand, I will say he did everybody a favor when he was the one who brought Jerry Tendler into the fold,
Yeah.
and then that became a thing. Poker psychologists, poker hypnotists. I think that did a lot of people a favor
Oh yeah. Those are great books, especially the first one.
because did you know that Jerry Tendler he's a sports psychologist,
Yep.
and it was Dusty, well, he's also like a semi-pro golfer, and Dusty, who was a semi-pro golfer, maybe he's even pro now, I don't know. He approached him and said, "Hey, do you think you can do this for poker?" And he did awesome job.
Yeah. Hmm. This man.
Are you being serious? Muck it.
Yeah.
No,
Wanna see
you know
what?
that there's a limper there, right?
Yep. What?
Okay, all right. Well, if you know him
I want
better
to
than
hear your
me,
play. I would usually go to like 5 or 6 right here or
well,
something. What? Oh well. I wanted to hear what you were gonna say.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Sorry, I don't want to step on your toes, because you played with this guy a lot more than me.
Because I just want to know your plan. I know what my plan would have been.
You said to raise it to 5 or 6.
That's what I probably would have done.
Okay, why?
Because it gets more money in the pot against a bad player and I beat his range.
By how much?
By his range? By a lot. He's nearly ATC.
He's nearly ATC. Okay, well, here's the thing about raising to 5. You're not going to get enough folds against the big blind. So if it was just him, that'd be one thing. I mean, not that it's really relevant, but he did just flip over. Was it ace 4 suited?
It's 3.
You just say it's rigged. I couldn't hear you over the chainsaw.
It's ace 3.
Ace 3.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you had him killed.
And then here, I would normally raise min.
Um, okay, go for it. And then we're gonna do small ball tactics. Now the thing that I would object to it with is because you only are sitting on 15 and a half big blinds.
Yeah, that's more a 30 big blind play, I guess.
Oh yeah, at 30, if you're playing a few tables, absolutely. Any semi-suited, or sorry, any semi-connected suited is worth the steal. Likewise, you're gonna want to start stealing 100% from the small blind, and just do that and just bet them in, or do the 1-2-3 plan. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Where we just go like 1 big blind, 2 big blind, 3 big blind bluff on the river, just with like random garbage, unless it develops really bad.
Okay.
It's situational. Or sometimes I'll do that with like small value hands that seem like checking and calling on the river might be inappropriate.